This is Disclosure Day.
Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day is not even in theaters yet, and it is already being talked about like one of the defining movie events of the year. Honestly, when early reactions start sounding this passionate this far ahead of release, I paid attention, and right at the center of all that praise is Emily Blunt. That alone already makes this movie more interesting to me. Because when a giant summer science fiction film starts generating serious performance talk before release, something unusual is probably happening. These kinds of movies usually get praised for spectacle first. Maybe the score, maybe the effects, maybe the action. But when multiple early reactions immediately lock onto the lead performance and start calling it one of the best of an actor's career, that changes the conversation. It tells me Disclosure Day may not just be another alien mystery or government cover-up thriller. It may be the kind of film that uses all of that scale to deliver something personal, emotional, and actor-driven at the same time. Jermaine Lussier's reaction is probably the line that has hit the hardest so far. Calling Disclosure Day Spielberg's best film in the last 20 years is already a gigantic statement. This is not some director people are politely trying to hype up. This is Steven Spielberg. The bar is insane. So when someone says a new Spielberg movie belongs in that kind of company, that is not casual praise. Then Lussier goes even further and says the film is a roller coaster blend of chase movie, love story, mystery, and science fiction wonder, before topping it off by saying Emily Blunt delivers the best character and performance of her career. That is not a reaction people throw around lightly. That is the kind of response that instantly raises expectations and makes people feel like they need to be in the theater opening weekend. Steven Weintraub echoed that feeling in a way that may be even more effective. He basically said Spielberg has done it again, but the part that really stands out is the warning he gives after that: stop watching the trailers. Go in as blind as possible. That is usually one of the clearest signs that a film is doing something genuinely special. People do not say that when a movie is just good enough. They say that when the mystery, the reveals, and the emotional shape of the experience matter more than individual selling points. And once again, Weintraub circles back to Emily Blunt, saying she is incredible and hinting that what she is doing in this film could become part of a much bigger award season conversation than people usually expect from a summer blockbuster. That is a huge deal. Then you have Bill Bria describing the film in even more intense terms, praising the score, praising David Koepp's script, and calling the movie gripping and moving. His description of the screenplay as something like the X-Files colliding with the Bible is especially interesting to me, because that suggests Disclosure Day is not approaching its alien subject from a purely mechanical, action-driven angle. It sounds bigger than that, stranger than that, maybe even more spiritual than the marketing first lets on. And when you combine that with John Williams reportedly delivering some of his best working years, suddenly the whole thing starts sounding less like a generic summer sci-fi film and more like a full-scale Spielberg event in the classic sense. Tessa Smith's reaction adds another important detail: emotion. She says the movie made her cry. That matters because no matter how cool the concept is, no matter how strong the score is, and no matter how exciting the mystery is, a Spielberg sci-fi film really reaches another level when it has heart. That has always been one of his greatest strengths. He can build wonder, danger, and spectacle, but the reason those moments stick is because he usually knows how to connect them back to people, back to vulnerability, back to fear, longing, family, memory, belief, and the feeling that the impossible is crashing into ordinary life in a way that completely changes it. If Disclosure Day really delivers that kind of emotional pull, then it has a chance to be much more than just visually impressive. The setup itself is already strong enough to support that kind of response. Emily Blunt plays a television meteorologist in Kansas City who appears to be overtaken live on air by a mysterious extraterrestrial force. Josh O'Connor plays a believer, someone determined to reveal the truth about alien life to the rest of the world. Right there, the film already has a smart tension built into it. One character seems to become part of the mystery in a deeply personal and terrifying way. The other seems driven by conviction, by the need to uncover and expose something that has been hidden. That combination gives the movie a more charged emotional core than a simple invasion narrative. This is not just about whether aliens exist. It is about how the truth crashes into people's lives, bodies, beliefs, and choices, and the supporting cast only makes it stronger. Colin Firth, Eve Hewson, Coleman Domingo, Wyatt Russell, and Henry Lloyd Hughes give the project a serious dramatic backbone. This does not feel like one of those giant concept movies where all the weight falls on the premise alone. It feels built to be performed, which is exactly what you want when the story is dealing with something as unstable and overwhelming as extraterrestrial contact and public disclosure. The better the actors, the more believable the fear, wonder, and moral conflict become. What also makes this movie especially exciting is the Spielberg-Koepp reunion. David Koepp has already proven he can work with Spielberg at a very high level, from Jurassic Park to War of the Worlds. Those collaborations knew how to translate massive concepts into stories with urgency and momentum. So when you hear that the two of them developed Disclosure Day together, it instantly suggests a movie that will not just be idea-heavy, but sharply structured too. That matters because a story like this could easily disappear into its own mystery if it is not handled carefully. Spielberg and Koepp together make me think the film will know exactly when to chase wonder, when to push suspense, and when to hit emotion. And that is why the best in 20 years line keeps sticking in my head. Because if Disclosure Day really is that good, then it means Spielberg may have found a way to revisit one of his signature genres without simply repeating himself. His filmography is already stacked with major sci-fi landmarks, from Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. to Minority Report, AI, War of the Worlds, and Ready Player One. So this is not a director wandering into science fiction for the first time in years with nothing to say. This is one of the defining filmmakers of the genre coming back with all that history behind him, and apparently still managing to surprise people. That is what makes the reaction wave feel so electric. It is not just about a good new movie. It is about the possibility that one of cinema's all-time giants still has a fresh, emotionally devastating, genuinely thrilling sci-fi story in him. That possibility becomes even more exciting when you realize how carefully Universal has been protecting the film's biggest reveals.